Welcome to the 6 Mile Cypress Slough. Wetland ecosystems include swamps, marshes, wet meadows, bogs, and fens. Essentially, wetlands are transitional areas between dry, upland, and aquatic systems such as lakes, rivers, or oceans. To be considered a wetland, a region must have wet soils or be covered by a shallow layer of water for at least part of the year. Some wetlands are always covered with water, and others are flooded only for a short time. The relationship between elevation, hydrology, and fire are rather simple to understand. Since we don't have a large amount of height change in Florida, we measure it simply by inches, but they tend to follow a cycle. Elevation determines an ecosystem's hydro period, the length of time soil is saturated or flooded, which directly impacts the fire. Fire opens up space on the forest floor and invigorates new growth that may be more potable and nutritious for wildlife. Wetlands provide important services to the human world as well as the natural world. As such, they often receive special consideration and legal protection from building and development. So the first point is water purification. As water moves through a wetland, it often carries pollutants from the surrounding uplands. This can take the form of sediments that are picked up from rainwater that flows across the landscape, or toxic pollutants from human sources, runoff from roads, automobiles, pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizer from agriculture, golf courses, landscaping, etc. Wetland soils, as well as the plants growing in them, remove these substances from the water and hold them in their tissues, cleaning the water in the process. The second point is water storage and flood protection. A wetland's spongy soils can hold a large volume of water flowing in rain events. That water is stored and slowly released to surrounding ecosystems and human development during drier times. That storage capacity also protects developed areas adjacent to wetlands from flooding during heavy periods of rain. The third point is aquifer recharge. An aquifer is a layer of limestone under the soil surface that contains many holes like a sponge. Water stored in a wetland percolates down through the soil, filling up the spaces within the limestone beneath. Since most of Southwest Florida's water comes from underground aquifers, large wetlands that serve as areas of aquifer recharge are critically important to our drinking supply. So the fourth and final point is habitat and biodiversity. Wetlands provide an important habitat for many plant and animal species. Carnivorous plants such as the butterwort or the bladderwort digest tiny insects as they grow in these nutrient-poor soils. Wood storks, egrets, and russet spoonbills feed primarily in shallower water wetlands. So that concludes the end of this video. Hopefully you were able to learn something. Florida is very reliant on wetlands and what they do for our natural ecosystem. It's very important that we are able to be aware of what needs protecting and why.